What's going on, everybody? Andrew asked me about my podcast. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day out there. I got the duo of Denver. I was going to come up with something else that rhymes, but nothing came to mind. These two guys have been crushing real estate here in the Denver market for a couple of years now. We have Levi here and, as you know, Schneider, the frequent guest of the show. So super excited to have these guys on. I'll throw it over to Levi real quick. Might as well introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, how you do it, and we'll kind of start there.
So first of all, I'm a native to Colorado, born and raised in just south of Denver in Littleton. I actually grew up in construction before ever getting into this business. And then, originally went into electrical after high school, and then the business just kind of stopped. So I ended up getting laid off, found something to get me by in between, and I found myself in the car business. And apparently I was good at selling, so they wanted me for that.
Great skill to have, as always.
Definitely.
Naturally, everything is sales, even just building relationships.
Yeah, very true.
And through the car business, I progressed through finance. But after buying my first house, of course, with the assistance of Will here.
You're welcome.
Best in Denver again. Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, I wanted to further my knowledge and education in the finance, and even just the lender, not trying to talk bad about anyone, but from my first experience, knowing I had a background in finance didn't explain much to me, just assumed I probably knew more than I did. And after it was done, I felt like I have no idea what just happened. So I talked to Will and I said, I want to get into mortgages, and asked him what his thoughts were. And he thought it was a great idea and supported it. But I got in it with the intent to making sure no one at the end of their transaction, even though they got the house, had the same feelings I had as far as what just happened.
Right. I mean, that tends to be a very powerful thing when you experience it and then you kind of take that as motivation for what you do next. I guess with that being, kind of starting there in the finance space, like why finance? Was that something that you're always good at, good with numbers, could always put together the puzzle pieces? Like how'd you get in that kind of realm of things?
Complete opposite. In school, math was like my worst subject, especially when numbers and letters started hooking up. I wanted out. Yeah. But, I guess just the math that came down to buying and money made sense to me, and it interested me. So unlike in school when you have to follow certain curriculums, this I was very interested in, so I wanted to learn more about it, and it just clicked.
That's awesome. So you've been doing it for how many years now?
4 years now.
And then how long have you been working with Will? All 4 of those years?
All 4 of those years, yeah.
Man, we all mess up, but that's okay.
He rebounded well.
Yeah, exactly. Going back to the start, so obviously Denver's insane right now. I know we've talked about it a little bit last time. We'll dive into it again because I'm sure it changes by the minute.
It does.
But yeah, why don't you jump in? What are we doing here in Denver? What's going on? And then we'll kind of jump back into the mortgage side of things.
Oh boy. I mean, as you said, it's very much a live ball situation. This spring has been pretty crazy. Slowed down a little bit with some people just kind of getting a bit discouraged, with rising interest rates and things like that. And there's no way around it. These are sort of the warning signals that Levi and I have constantly, remind our clients about is, we lent out $6 trillion over the last couple of years.
Pay for it somehow.
Yeah, the devil's always going to get his due, and so it's only going to get a bit more intense. And for some people, the sticker shock has kind of made them quiet down and just sort of back off. I expect that within the next coming weeks, things are going to pick back up a little bit, just because some people waited too long, and then just over this last week, when interest rates rose, what was it, half a point?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. And
half a point on most days.
Yeah, I mean that kind of jump can actually completely eliminate some people from the market, to the point where Colorado's not even a choice for them anymore, unfortunately. So some people are just sort of sitting on their hands about that one. Which I kind of understand.
Colorado's turned into I read this the other day, the 5th least affordable state.
Yep, that's our current running metric.
Which is insane.
When
it comes to kind of everything, I guess, but
totally. I expect that to change a little bit, because other people will sort of the people who couldn't buy here will obviously have to pick other states, or and those states will pick up the volume as well. In places like Nashville and especially Florida are getting very, very popular, and I think we'll pick up some of that slack and balance out. But also there's some places that are kind of teetering as far as their popularity goes. Like all over California, even though it's astronomically expensive, it's priced so many people out that they're looking at other places too, like Boise.
Right, which is crazy. I guess, so back to on the mortgage side of things, what are you seeing? Are you seeing, probably, obviously you're getting some of the info from him, but when people are coming in, is it turning into people are looking to only put down the minimums? Are people putting down the maximums? Are people trying to just get houses as quickly as possible? Or what's kind of like the backside, the financial aspect of it? What's kind of going on there here?
There's still relatively a decent mix of both. It's hard for me to say if there's more than one than another, because some people just require a lot more attention, and that makes it seem like there's more. Although the hard thing is you get a lot of first-time buyers out there, and even a lot of first-time home buyers these days do have 10% down, which is significant. They don't need that much. A lot of them have this misconception that they have to have 20% down because that's what their parents have always told them to avoid mortgage insurance, until they talk to someone and get educated and realize that it's more affordable to own than they realize. And they can do that with 3% down too on a conventional, or 3.5% on an FHA. But I'll spend time going over these scenarios with them. The ones I'd say that are really difficult, but I would say even just it's not too premature for them to start trying and get information, are the ones that call and ask about down payment assistance, but meanwhile only have $500 in their account.
Right. Is that like, so is there a lot of new home buyers? Is that like what would you say the split is between buying their first house, buying their second house on top of their first house, or like what's kind of the divide there, versus new home buyers? Because I feel like, especially here in Denver for us, we rented for the longest time possible. And now, to your point, people are getting more educated. It seems more feasible to only put down a smaller percentage. Is that still like a big portion of what's happening in Colorado, or is it kind of like you said, kind of all over the place?
A lot of them are getting discouraged because of the bidding wars still. Okay. People going in way over asking, and them coming in saying, I worked hard to save a decent chunk of money, and they'd have a decent chunk of money. But that's where I found it's especially important, the way me and Will work together, because he's the professional in how he writes those contracts, because of course, money always talks, but sometimes too, it's how you word the contract and what you offer.
Precisely, yeah. I was going to say we work together, very frequently. I would say like I'd probably do 75% of my deals with Levi, and so just kind of working as a team. It's not always about how much money you have; it's about how you describe your assets and your intentions in the contract. So I mean, we've gotten a couple of VAs and one FHA closed this year. So and typically like those kinds of borrowers are getting crushed at the table. But if you phrase the language properly and also have a good conversation with anytime that we put a bid on a place on a buyer's behalf, I have Levi call them first and sort of make intros and talk about their assets. And then I get to, on the other side of that conversation, talk about their intentions and how serious they are about the house. Pick just the right verbiage to make sure that they know that, like, okay, this is actually a safer bet than like someone who's come in with all cash. That person has the capacity to be reckless and bail at the last minute, et cetera, and that sort of thing. So it's still very doable for first-time buyers. As many times as you hear all these crazy like horror stories about corporate entities buying out properties, for $100,000 over asking or something ridiculous. It is very manageable, for your everyday person to buy a house when you pick the right team and when you go in with a plan and get educated about it.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the biggest thing, is just getting educated. Because when I came in to buy a first house, I had no idea. Like, I was, to your point, I was relying on my parents to figure out how much to put down and how much to avoid this and not do this. But I think probably the products have changed so dramatically since, my parents bought a house, 20, 30 years ago. Like and I know, obviously I worked with Will when I bought my place, but like, Levi, when's like a good time? When's the ideal, or how does the ideal situation go? Like, do you come in 7 days before they're ready to buy the house? Do you come in when they're trying to figure out how much to spend? Like, what's the best case process? best scenario.
Ideally, like what I tell every client I work with, if it wasn't Will that sent in my direction, I always say any good real estate agent will tell you to go get pre-approved before you even look at one house. So I mean, at that point, it could be the first house they find. It could be immediately after we pre-approve them that they go under contract. It could also take 6 months or a year, but it's a matter of not giving up, but also in that process when we initially make that first base, I tell them how I start the process. Every little detail, just down to taking the application, collecting the supporting documents. I don't do pre-qualifications, which is generic credit. You told me your income. You told me what you have as far as assets, but I haven't documented anything. I don't waste anybody's time with that. I get everything fully documented, so as soon as we do go under contract, we can submit it and get things moving forward fast. But there is a lot of time, like even that first introductory phone call I have with them, you could talk to a new lender and they'll be like, great, give me your information, I'm gonna send you the application. Conversation's over in 5 minutes after they've said hi and who they are.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's gonna work, I'm out.
I always try and say, like, when do you have time for a brief conversation?
Yeah.
Knowing we're gonna be on the phone for a half an hour to an hour of me just telling you how this process goes. And I don't like to sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
I always tell them it's not easy and it will be discouraging, but that's why you have me and Will here. Ask any and every question you have so you can go in there knowing like what it's going to take. You're going in there educated and prepared.
Right. So I guess next question would be, what has been the biggest change, or what is the biggest like misconception of what goes into buying a house? Is it like most people think that you have to have 20% down? Most people think you have to be, steady income, assets under management. Like, what is like the biggest thing that you kind of face, and that you're like, people are like, oh shoot, like I actually don't have to have that, and this is actually a lot easier than I thought? Or is there any kind of moment that people face when they get there?
The 20% one, it seems to be pretty loud. I would say that's probably the biggest head turner, because there's so many people that really that assume that without even looking into it at all. But it is like the parents' tried and true, like the recommendation. But that was also like when some of our parents were buying houses, they were $200,000, and so like exactly. And so they were like, okay, if I could scrape together some decent money, like not to say that coming up with 50 grand on the spot, is a piece of cake or anything, but it was a much more manageable task than some of the houses are, here in Denver now, with an average of just short of 700,000 for a median.
So that's what I've heard. Like the average price in Colorado, in the Denver, like greater Denver area, what are we hitting?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the last time I looked, it was like 670. Something to that effect for a single family home, like a 3-bed, 2-bath, like something.
I mean,
what
was that 5 years ago?
Oh, gee,
I'm kind of
3. No.
From you here,
Nope, no. That's a reasonable ask.
I'm even thinking you go back to 2018. The conforming loan limit was 324, and we're already up to, like, staying in the conforming loan limit across the country, 625. That's a huge jump, and one of the biggest jumps that they've ever had in that short period of a time.
I mean, I remember, like, when we were shopping for your first one, there were, places in Littleton you could get for that were 3-bed, 2-baths, with a respectable yard. A place that, a good starter home for $350, that was par for the course. Now, that'll get you condo. That'll get you a condo. That'll get you condo.
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe if you're lucky.
As long as you don't have a spouse or any kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or a dog.
Yeah. It'll be a tight situation for sure.
Yeah. Quick. So you plug yourselves real quick, because you guys have been working together for a couple years now, right? So you kind of know how each other work. You understand the process. The advantages of working with a team. Like, what is that? Why would someone want to work with two people that are a real estate agent and a lender, if that's the correct word, with a great relationship? Like, what's the advantage of that instead of just a random bank or whatever?
Well, I'll start just like my experience from working with like other agents that I know and ones that I've never met before, whether they're very experienced or whether they are brand new. How your lender and your agent work together impact how you perceive everything and how well you do moving forward. because I've butt heads with people, or where I've got an agent that's trying to be the lender because they're asking me so many questions because they're trying to give those to the buyer before they ask those questions. So I always try to limit the information I give them so I can maintain that relationship and not confuse them. But then meanwhile, I'll find myself, because I have a habit of, you ask a question, I'm going to give you an answer. Yeah. Where sometimes I give another agent an answer and they don't hear what I told them and they tell the buyers something else. And then at the end of the day, they go make an offer on a place and I don't write a lender letter for it because I say, you're not approved for that. That's not at all what I said. Or this is what it's going to do to your payment, which I know you're not comfortable with. And then everyone's like fighting because he said, she said. Yeah. So there's no like working together. It's like every party's working against each other. And in this kind of market where it is discouraging for your buyers, you need to keep everything transparent. Make sure they understand everything in order for them to not just like say, forget it, I'm out.
Yeah, especially to you, what you said is just the process is already so brutal, especially in a busy market like this. Like, what about from like the real estate side or from the realtor side?
I would say just having, so many things. Having somebody that you're on the same page with. Like we have a very refined process to the point where the moment that either one of us gets an interested client, we'll send the client to each other and give each other a lowdown on the person, whatever it will take. Sort of describe their personalities. We find out and sort of tailor our approach to their needs, because ultimately we want it to be about them. But since our system is so ironed out at this point, we've I don't know, dozens of people. We've got and so yeah, we ran into, I don't want to say every personality, but most of them. And to just know that we know what we're going to say to the other person. We know we have our back end calls and be like, okay, they're concerned about this, maybe bring up this detail. And we always have had a strategy to be able to get anybody under contract that wants the house as much as we want it for them. So when we've had people who are really flush, with like easy opportunities, and that we can handle really well, and then some people with a bit more complications and some financial baggage, and be like, okay, what would be the solution here? And then we both put our heads together. But also, we've been buddies for a long time, and so the extra advantage I always tell people, it's like, was this poor guy's groomsman, and so I said, like, I get the, I have the red button alert privilege. If there's something going wrong at 10 o'clock at night, I'm going to wake them up, and vice versa. And so if it's the night before closing, and it has happened before, we've ran into like a chaotic 11th hour situation. We've gotten on the phone, figured it out, sorted it out, and gotten people to the closing table the next day. And so that's what you get when you got like people who really know each other and are familiar with each other's systems, that kind of thing.
And the biggest thing too, I would add to all of that, is our trust.
Yeah.
He trusts that I'm going to get things done on my end. I trust that he's taking care of the clients and acting in their best interest as well. Because like he said, there are times in any mortgage, it doesn't matter if you are the perfect buyer or not, the house may, there's multiple moving pieces that, we can't control. And some things do come up. But if I need to call and give him a heads up and say, hey, we're running into this scenario, it's going to delay our closing one day. Or I need to talk to the borrowers because, something came up that they didn't tell me that we're finding out about now.
Which never happens.
Right.
Yeah, everybody's totally upfront, honest with absolutely
I love the
everything.
honesty these days.
Zero skeleton closet in the giant metro area.
Yeah, no,
Right.
lo and behold, there's 2 DUIs and an unpaid bill for the past 6 years. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we've got a plan for that too, though.
No, we got that, yeah. We're obviously coming to a time where a lot of people feel that we're hitting a very tough market when it comes to the financial lending and borrowing and everything of cash. What is kind of your advice for the next, let's go 1 year or next 6 months? If someone's looking to buy a house, should they be discouraged? Is now not the time to do that? Is it still okay? I know rates are kind of doing their thing. What is kind of if you had to provide someone with a roadmap for the next 6 months or a year or whatever you're most comfortable going out, what would it be?
One thing I tell everyone I talk to is it's never too early to start. Like when I first started working with Will, I got pre-approved and, saw what that could get me, and it wasn't anything I wanted.
Right.
And so a year later, after making so many changes, I got my purchasing power where I could find something I wanted. And so with that, start early so that way we can educate you. Because even throughout the process and going in thinking you know everything, every house you look at, you find things about yourself that you're like, okay, well, that was more of a need and not a want. Well, this is a want and not a need. I never thought that would have been a thing. Yeah. That you're learning something throughout the entire process.
Right. So what do you do much in investment properties, or is it mainly like single mortgages?
I have a lot of clients who have numerous investment properties.
What's going on with that? Like, what does that look like here in Colorado right now? Is that running rampant, or is that kind of...
People still want to be a part of it.
Yeah. People are still investing heavily in multiple family houses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's where I think you get a lot of like green pea investors who have the money, who will maybe recklessly buy and not look at all of the details that they have to look at, like any work that the home needs. What's their potential profit going to be? What are their turntables or their time frame as far as being in the positive on what they make? Yeah. Because some people just don't do their research and they think, I can rent it for whatever because people will pay it. It's true, but that isn't how things work down the line. Yeah, very true. Especially when buying an investment property. If you're using rental income to qualify, we have to order a second addition to the appraisal. It's called a rent schedule, where you look at like the average market rent in that area. So to prevent, again, like people falsifying lease agreements and whatnot, saying, I collect $10,000 a month for this 1-bedroom apart studio that
Which
has
isn't
no
too
view.
far outside the realm here in Colorado, but probably by a little bit.
Right. Well, I mean, so then those are things that'll factor in and be like, well, you can't.
Yeah, this is
so we can't use that. So you don't qualify. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I know we were talking about this last time a lot, Will, with the corporate buying here in Colorado. Is that still a thing? I know that was only a couple months ago, but what have you seen change? Is it, is it individuals coming in buying things, forming corps and buying things? Like what's that?
I'd split it into two categories. One I'd call like the sharks, like corporate entities like with $1 trillion budgets like BlackRock, buying out bundle packages, which hundreds of homes at a time and things like that. However, like those can be pretty sloppy, and then you get sort of the ambitious mom and pop who are more about picking up a duplex or a quadplex, and if they've worked really hard and scraped together what they could, and maybe they want to run it themselves. I don't touch the monster corporate like BlackRock side, unless it's one very specific client, and they've got an amount of properties that I can sort of guide their expectations. But when it comes to sort of the mom and pop side of things, I'll say those are the people I'm rooting for.
Absolutely.
I want that for all of us.
Yeah, well, especially when you said there's like these corporations coming in buying like $100K over asking. I mean, wasn't like Zillow doing that or Redfin? Like, weren't they coming in and just pretty much scraping up places?
Zillow lost their ass on that one, though. Also,
They're
I'll
still
say
trying
this.
to recover.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
And so, particularly with Zillow, like that's a business model gone bad. Like, and a lot of I think the rest of the world is kind of learning from their mistakes, because what Zillow would do is they'd find desperate buyers, buy their houses on the cheap, but with cash. But it was always somebody whose back was against the wall. It was never under like the right context.
Perfect conditions. Everybody was super stoked about it.
They slap a coat of paint on it, maybe change the carpet if they want the deluxe package, and then put it on the market in a week, and then every other agent, nothing nice though, and so. Every agent would look through it and be like, it was bought 10 days ago? What could possibly have changed? Why and then they would raise the price by $100,000 or whatever. Like, okay, no appraisal is going to stand up to that. So the deal is going to fall apart, if an ordinary person tries to buy it. So, but really the whole point of Zillow doing that was just to They were just mining data. They just wanted it for the clicks. The longer the house is on the market, and they say like, oh wow, it's this house again. What changed? And then they click on it. They get the person's data, and then they sell it off to to the agent, to the lender, and it would under the guise of that just looking. But those Zillow leads, as we call it in the business, are so unprofitable yet so expensive because they're trying to make their money back. So
they got to cut it somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it never worked and bombed, and they had to fire like, I don't know, it was like a few thousand employees in a single week, and it was like, yeah, of course this is going to happen. It's unsustainable. It's a sinking ship. But what companies like like the big monster ones will do now is they will go in and they will completely remodel the house, and and they'll do it by the hundreds just because they have that resource, but then they're making the money back. But that's also sort of I think we discussed this a little bit in the last podcast. Yeah. It sort of tees people, or it tees the market up for really unfortunate situation where they intend to own that asset as a permanent rental, and they get to control the price, and that's what raises the market value all around us and makes things a bit more difficult for the everyday person.
Right. So Levi, for you, what would be if you could talk to someone? They're renting a place downtown Denver right now. They're paying obviously $1,500. What's like a 1-bedroom in downtown Denver go for now? $1,400, $1,500.
I wish I had
$2,000.
Yeah, about $2 lakhs.
Yeah, we'll do $2,000. I haven't been down there in a while. And they want to buy a house. Like they got it. They really are feeling it. They want to buy a condo. They want to try and do something. What would you say? Like, what's the next step?
Aside from like what they can afford for that.
Yeah. So it'd be like, would it be like obviously trying to save up, the money for it? Would it be, figuring out, getting with someone like yourself to try and figure out what that number could be? And like, what do you do much advising, or do you do mainly more on like the final sale? I don't think that's the right way to put it, but
no, I would say I spent a lot of time, like I said, educating people, because off my first experience where I didn't know what happened, I try to pre-frame that into everyone that I talk to, because everyone comes in with champagne taste and a beer budget. As a first-time home buyer, I know I did the same thing when I was first buying.
I think I did too.
Yeah, I think on our first consultation, he was describing a place that basically his parents lived in after 30 hard.
It was $4 million.
30 years of hard work, and it was a description, and then I wrote it down, and then was like, okay, what's available? And then we were driving out near like
it was in Arvada.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and there's like a smoking factory. You tell the story.
This is the best. This is where either real estate agents or the photographers they use for staging homes are really, really good. Because we looked at pictures of this place and was like, okay, seems pretty nice. It's in my price point, which was nothing at this time because this was our first go around. Yeah. And we're heading towards Arvada, and I'm like, that's a nice area. You've got, we started in like the historic part of Arvada, Old Town, and then we started down, I don't remember the road, but we're driving like further away from town. And, at this point, it's like you've got like older homes. They're nice, not like brand new nice homes. Then it's like field, nothing. Then I see like these brand new like townhomes. I'm like, is it in here? Like, I'm getting excited. And then it's like field again. And I'm looking forward. I'm like, we're heading straight towards that factory that is just pillowing with black smoke. It's okay. Positive attitude. Let's just keep driving. It's probably around somewhere. We still have a ways to go. So when we're driving, we're still heading towards it, and we turn, before it, and we keep going, and then right at the very end of the fence of this factory, it says turn right. And I'm like, what? Like, is it in the factory? And it was like, shared a fence with the factory. It was a trailer park.
Yeah, it was.
No way.
We didn't even make it inside.
We just looked there and you're like, this obviously isn't it. It's time to go.
We took a look around, and we're just seeing all of these like 8-mile symptoms. We're like, so you guys want to go to lunch?
Yeah. So we went and grabbed lunch.
Yeah. I swear, I almost bought. To your point, the photography is getting so good. I was looking at like a trailer up in Breckenridge. Had no idea it was a trailer, and then I like looked outside and I was like, that looks a little high off the ground to have a foundation.
Yeah,
so what's going on here?
Does it have wheels?
Yeah, does it have wheels? We rolling this thing right on out of here?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, dude. Yeah, some people just get super creative with the marketing. which is good.
It works.
It does, yeah.
By the way, so I don't even know if I gave you his background, but like marketing, insurance, everything. Man, you've been all over the country for the last couple of weeks. What's happening with you?
Yeah, it's been crazy past couple weeks, and I'm about to head out again for 6 weeks. So I'm about to go all over the place doing projects for everybody. So
Are you going to be in the desert again under a tent?
no, God, we are hopefully knock the wood on that one. Hopefully done with that.
Okay.
This one at least has grass, and actually I'm going to be in Gulf Shore, so Alabama, at Hangout Festival, which is headlined by Post Malone. So that should at least be good. Going back to Columbus, Ohio to go visit my parents, go to the Memorial Tournament.
You going on the hangout?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Hangout.
Oh man, okay. Consider me envious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Were you trying to go?
Well, I mean, I've heard it's a good time.
I've heard it's awesome.
Yeah.
And
I
I
think
heard
you'll have fun.
Gulf Shore, Alabama, I heard is
It's a hidden gem.
yeah, I mean, I think it's more hidden than a gem. But,
Okay.
yeah, it's I'll report back. I'll let you know how it goes.
I'm looking forward to the full debrief for sure. Yeah.
And then Mexico, which I've never been to, going to Cabo.
Never
So that
been?
should be cool. Never been to Mexico
Really?
ever.
Okay.
Now the farthest south I've gone is Puerto Rico, but before that it was the southern tip of Florida, Miami.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you're in for a terrible time.
Yeah. No, I'll let you know what I remember.
Yeah.
And then I go to one more place, Seattle. So that'll be
Okay.
good. Oh no, then I also go to Greensboro, South Carolina.
Dope.
Yeah, so I'll be all over the place for a while, which will be a lot of fun.
Getting all the miles.
Yeah, just knocking up miles. But yeah, it's like nice that things are kind of
Is Cabo work or
back
play
open.
for you?
Play.
Or okay. Oh, good. Good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Bachelor party.
There you go.
You'll have fun.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yes.
It's a good time. Bring the sticks. I get a little golf in, so that'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Why not?
You're used to playing golf out here, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely different down there. Just
Yeah.
last
Another 200 yards
May,
shorter.
I went down to Puerto Vallarta for
Oh,
a
nice.
friend's wedding.
Yeah.
And before the wedding, because I was in the wedding party too, all the groomsmen and the groom, we went and played golf.
Yeah.
And just with that humidity, I'm not good at golf. Like I'm not even like okay at golf. I'm
Yeah.
horrible. But I can hit it. The drive, that's it.
Yeah.
The initial drive, and then the rest is here and there.
Uh-huh.
But in Mexico, it's so humid. At least when I was hitting it, it was like 20 feet. I'm like, let's try that again. Maybe this ball's no good.
Bring some
Every
extra spring
single
ball.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have altitude too, obviously the air, but altitude too. I feel like you lose like 10% of your shot.
You do.
I'll figure it out. Should be a good time. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But
who are you working for in Seattle?
Ducati.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So we're doing a bike. I think we're doing a demo ride for the new Desert X, which is like their new, like kind of off-road style motorcycle, which will be cool.
That's cool.
I want to look that up.
So we're getting the first 6 in the United States, so that'll be awesome to go check them out and hopefully throw the leg over and ride for a little bit.
Oh,
That'll
yeah,
be
man.
fun.
Yeah, which should be neat. And then this week, I'll probably get this out hopefully this week, but Friday talking at Cody Askins, which will be awesome. I'm
Yeah.
going to be on stage for that, which will be a lot of fun.
Sick.
Talking about marketing and insurance and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, I think you guys have anything else you kind of want to chit chat about, or you guys,
And
what else you got?
hold on. Oh, I'm still scoping out this bike of yours.
Which one?
The Desert X.
Oh, the Desert X. It's pretty sick.
That is pretty.
It's like a dual sport, but
That's
more. It's
sweet.
like more designed for obviously desert.
What they put in Ducatis is insane. I
Absolutely
didn't even know you
insane.
could put the certain features on bikes.
They have like cruise control. They have like radar, like distance control now for motorcycles. It's wild. But as just like anything, everybody's getting held up by all the Ukraine stuff. A lot of their Ducati's owned by Volkswagen Group, so a lot of the chips for Volkswagen Group are produced in Ukraine. So there's a
I did not
backup
know that.
of chips coming out of Ukraine.
First,
that's
the
kinda like
Russians
the-
halt our pasta. Now they're messing with engines.
Taking our grains,
And,
oils.
but it needs to relax out there.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
gotta just get back to the vodka, boys
Yeah.
and gals.
Yeah. Go home.
Go
home. Go home. Yeah. I'm not here about politics, but go home.
Yeah, it's been too long. Sweet. Well, I appreciate you guys coming out and jumping on this. Thanks for hosting again, Will, as always. Levi, do you want to drop a little where people can find you or social media or?
Oh, actually, if you don't mind,
go for it.
one more thing. Tell them about that cash buyout option.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm with American Pacific Mortgage. My team, we opened up a branch underneath them. So they are massive. They're the top 5 mortgage direct lenders in the country. And now we've got our own branch underneath them. And the coolest thing, because I was just at one of their summits down in San Antonio, come June 1st, they're launching a program called Cash Buy, which in this market, cash is king, obviously, but there's a lot of unknowns when you have a cash buyer coming in recklessly. But with this cash buy, you can take someone who finances and make them a cash buyer. Now, the way that it works, because we got some more information as far as how that process works, instead of us just submitting a cash offer on every home we look at, is it is a race to close. So we aim to do a extremely short closing, and if we don't close that, like financing, by that time frame, then we just pay cash for it and close on it. American Pacific writes the check, buys the property, and then in the next couple of days, we wrap up the loan because they don't even need to have a full underwriting approval for the cash buy program to go into place.
And for context, it was, what would you say? It was was it 14, 15 days, something like that?
Like 15 days.
Yeah, which any seller, if they see 14 and 15 day close, they should be pretty excited about that, even in a very competitive market.
So I think that kind of goes to like the industry changing, like the new products and stuff. Is there anything else that, like, that's obviously insane, right? 14 days, it's kind of unheard of, and especially with you guys just rolling it out. Like, what other products have changed, or what other products have come out there? Or is that like kind of the newest thing on the block?
One of the cool things I've been learning about that we offer now with American Pacific is bridge loans. Because typically, I'd have people call and we'd refer them out to a big bank, that has high fees that they charge with that. But with our bridge loan products, because a lot of people are using equity from their current home to go buy the next home they want to be in, and they're using all of that equity. And with a bridge loan, they're able to pull from that equity and do that, and they're not even going to get dinged for their current payments on the primary. And the bridge loan, there's either no payments due or they're interest only, depending on which option you want to go with. It's a short-term loan designed to be paid off as soon as you close.
Interesting.
So that makes it a lot more doable to free up the funds, because a lot of people may have the equity in their home, but they don't want to list their home and sell it and be out of house if they can't find something else. Mm-hmm. So the bridge loan covers them for 6 months.
Interesting. So it's kind of an in-between to kind of get from one place to the next while you're in the midst of selling and purchasing. And
great
kind of
safety net to prevent you from being homeless, even though we've never had a homeless client. But like,
touche.
Yes. It's a great safety net, and it's just something to give the seller and the seller's agent a bit more confidence that you can go through with the process.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. So, where are you and Cody presenting? What's the story with that?
Oh, okay.
Drop your shit.
I don't like talking about.
Yeah.
So him and I, he invited me out to do. I subscribe to like a program of his. So we're doing everything. I've done a podcast. I hosted a webinar yesterday with him. And then Friday I'll be on stage. So Thursday night's a mastermind dinner. So go out, talk about whatever. And then Friday is an insurance conference that they're hosting at a hotel down here in town. I think there are 50 people so far that have subscribed and are going to be there. It's just talking about the industry. It's money, motivation, kind of some of the common practices, what people are doing, how they're doing it, things that they can change, kind of in their habits. And then they'll have a panel of, I think it's like 5 or 6 people. So I'll be one of those 5 or 6 people, up on stage talking about, my experience. And a lot of it usually comes back to social media, organic social traffic, all that kind of stuff. Cause that's kind of where my specialty lies. And then talk a little bit about PNC, but I got some like big news coming up on the PNC stuff in the next 90 days, which I'm super excited about, and I'll share that later. But
dope. Oh yeah. I imagine, you'll have your venues to explore that. But
Yeah.
man, I'm definitely curious to tap into the the mindset portion of that. I was like, this guy's been an animal for the last couple of months. I got to say, I was like, I'm rubbing the sleep out of my eyes, and he's already put up 3 videos and been to the gym and everything, and
Routine.
Yeah.
Routine. Got to find the routine and just do it.
yeah, man.
That's my 2 cents.
Yep, I concur.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right.
Levi, go ahead and drop where people can find you, where best way to get a hold of you, if you want to share any of that, or social media. Go for it.
I'm just trying to get the social media going again.
Nice.
I've spent a lot
I'm
of
here to
time
help,
off
so,
of it.
Yeah, good move.
So you can find me on Facebook, just my name, Levi Pollack. And then email and phone is always good for me. My email is levi.pollack@apmortgage.com. And
You're good.
oh, okay.
Keep going.
And then, of course, you call me on my cell. It's 720-454-6331.
Love it, Will.
Well, if you're watching this, chances are that you've already subscribed or follow me on Instagram. But it's W Frayer S, and the phone number is 303-898-2234. Don't worry, I'll spam you. It'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what I say. Always throw your phone number out there. You can always block it.
Yeah, exactly. I recommend that you
Yeah.
do sometimes. Yeah, if I call you
use
more than
that
twice and you're annoyed, please block me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again. Really appreciate your all's time. And another episode. Ask me about my podcast. Everybody have a great day.